Hey everyone, welcome to our first round of notes. So you're going to see me in the right hand corner. Usually I've never done it this way, so bear with me. I might be pausing here or there and messing up and using whiteout and all that great stuff. So we are going to be taking notes on our first section. I'm on page 2 in the note packet, okay? And just get ready. Remember, you can always pause and rewind this video whenever you need to, all right? There will be some checkpoints along the way, so don't think that you can just fast forward to the end or not watch this, all right? And that's it. Let's go ahead and get started. So in our first part, we are going to start talking about, this whole chapter is just the intro to algebra, kind of some of the key basics that we need to know when we are going through this chapter. So the first thing we're going to talk about is just what is a function, because in algebra we start to use the words function and function notation. So in Algebra 1 and Algebra 2, we're going to be working with functions, and functions include an input and an output. And if you have a highlighter, this is a great time to get the highlighter out and just highlight some of these key vocabulary words, input and output. And functions have a special relationship where each input has a single output. So let's just talk about what these words mean again. So an input are just the numbers you pick. To plug in or input for x. And we're going to stick with x and y because those are the most popular variables that are used in algebra. There are other ones, but for now we're going to be referencing x and y. So your output is after plugging in your x. So I'm referencing the input here. You follow the order of operations. And so I'm not going to write out the words order of operations, I'm just going to abbreviate it. So order of operations. So when you see that, that's what we're referring to get your output. Okay, again, remember you can always pause and rewind whenever you need to. Let's keep going. All right, so what are the different ways we can represent a function? So we can represent a function in a table. So you can see your table, in a graph, and in your equation. So again, in all of these, there's an input and an output. So here's your input, and here's your output. And in a table, your x-axis is your input, and your y-axis is your output. And in your equation, again, x and y are the most popular. X is your input, and y is your output. So input, output, and function. And we're going to talk more about a function and what function notation, that's another vocab word, that's coming out. So what we're going to focus on right now is just input and output. So for instance, vending machines. We all have vending machines somewhere in the building, right? So when we insert money, us inserting money is our input, okay? And then we press A1. And so when we input that information, we're going to get something out of it, and that's our output. So if we press A1, what we're going to get is Gone with the Breeze. And feel free to abbreviate. And if we insert money and input C2, then we're going to end up getting Raiders. I didn't make this up. This is from something. Of the Mossbark. Again, I'm abbreviating a little bit here, not writing all the words. And so again, what's the mathematical term to describe the money? And also, you know, the letter and number that we put into the vending machine, that's your input. And then the DVD that we get out, that's our output. Okay, so going pretty fast. Again, pause, rewind, whatever you need to do. Do not fast forward. So at this point, we're going to have a pause, we're going to have a little question, and you're expected to answer that. So I'll keep moving on now. Let's see, hold on, I got to do a little pausing on my own for a second. So give me a moment. There we go. Okay, so let's do a practice. You're going to be seeing this in the assignment that you will be turning in. Something very similar to this. So we're going to be looking at tables and some equations and some graphs. And if you're given the input, do you know the output? Or if you're given the output, do you know the input? Okay. So question 2, we've got an A and B. Just kind of note the format. 3, we've got an A and B. 4, there's an A and B. So find the y value when x is 0. So again, here we're given the input and we're about to find the output. So I'm going to look at my input is 0 and I get 47. So let's talk about how you should write the answer. You're just not going to write 47. You do need to write that y equals 47. Find the y value when x equals 2. So I'm going to go to my input where x is 2 and I get that y is negative 24. All right, so problem 3, find the y value when x is negative 1. So I'm going to go to my input of negative 1 and my output or my y value is 7. Find the y value when your x is 1. So kind of see the pattern here. Pretty simple stuff. Let's see, moving on to problem 4, find the x value when y equals 4. So going to, so now we're switching it. This time you're given the output. And what I want to do is figure out the input. So now I'm going to write that x equals negative 2. So definitely, you know, if we have some type of assessment, slow down, read the question. What are you given? What do you ask to find? Because I almost messed that one up. B, find the x value when y equals 32. So again, I'm going to go to where y is 32 and my input is 0. And then on A, for problem 5, find the x value when y equals 17. So that's going to be x is 1. And the last one, find the x value when y equals negative 6. And that's going to be x is negative 1. Okay? All right, so let's keep moving on. Let's take a look at a graph now. So remember, a graph has the x-axis. It has a y-axis. Usually, just a little reminder, you have an ordered pair, some x and y value. And those are kind of directions of how to go. So if you have 5, well, I don't want to use 5 because it's not on there. So hold on, got my little white out here, a little too big of a number. Let's say negative 2. And then you've got an x value of, or a y value of 3. Remember, the first number tells you to move left or right, and that's you starting at the origin, the center of your graph, where x is 0 and y is 0. And then the second number tells you then to move up or down. So if I'm given negative 2 and 3, the first number tells me to go left or right. Since it's negative, I'll go left to negative 2. And once I go there, the second number tells me to go up or down. Since it's positive, I'll go up, and I end up right there. Okay, so just a little reminder. So we're going to find the y value when x is 2. So they're telling me to move left or right. So I'm going to move right 2 because it's positive. And then what I need to do is actually get to the shape of the graph. So I don't want to go down because my graph's not down here. Instead, I want to move up. And when I move up 1 spot. That's where y is 1. So if you actually wrote this point down, that would be x is 2 and y is 1. All right? So now we're going to find the y value when x equals negative 4. So I think I'm going to switch colors because I got a lot of red here. So again, this is telling me to move left or right. Since it's negative, I'm going to move left 4. I need to get to my shape, so that means I'm going to be moving up. And when I move up, I'm moving up 4 spaces. If I look over here, I can see that y is 4. So again, just this point here is x is negative 4 and y is 4. All right, let's find the x value when y is 3. So this time, they're telling me from the center, from this origin, to move up 3 because it's positive. So 1, 2, 3, and then, you either move up or down, and after you moved up or down, then you only have the choice to move left or right. So I'm going to move left to get to my point, and I'm moving left 2. So that's going to give me where x is negative 2. And again, if you look at that point, that's x is negative 2 when your y is 3. And I realize my hand's covering some of this up when we write, so sorry about that. And then on D, find the x value when y is equal to 0. So I always think that when x is 0 or y is 0, that kind of messes some people up. So this is saying, remember, y is to move up or down. So since it's 0, I'm actually not supposed to move up or down anything. It's 0. So now I either have to go left or I have to go right. And so that means I will go to the right to get to my shape. And when I do, I'm moving over 4 spots. And that's where x is 4. And again, this point is 4, 0. All right, let's keep plugging away. Almost done. All right, just a few more. All right, so on this one, just an FYI, this is called a parabola. It's a quadratic function. We'll talk more about those later in the year. But let's keep moving. So we're going to find the y value when x is 0. Again, when anything is 0, it's a little tricky. So x, we're supposed to move left or right. So since it's 0, I'm not going to move left or right. Instead, to find y, I need to move up or down. And as it turns out, when x is 0, I don't need to move up or down. I'm actually already on the graph. So for this one, y is 0. This point is when x is 0, your y is 0. So now we're going to find the y value when x equals -3. So go left because x is left or right, -3. Now I have to go up or down. So I'll go up to get to my graph, 1, 2, 3, and that means y was 3. And again, this point was -3, 3. All right, this time we're given y, so we're going to go to where y equals 3, so we're going to go our up or down. So I'm going to go up 3, 1, 2, 3, and now I have to go left or right. But if you notice, when we go left, we actually can hit 2 points. We can hit this point, and we can hit this point. So we're moving over 1, so left 1, so x is -1. But if I keep going over, I can move over 2, 3, so x is -3. So for this one, we actually have 2 x's that will work. And we're going to talk about, we're going to see if you can figure it out and share it in class. But when can you just look at your shape and figure that out? So for the last one, find the x values where y equals -2. So again, this is up or down. I'm going to move down 2. And to get to my graph, now I move left or right. So I can go right. That's about a half. So x equals 0.5. And I can also go to the left, 1, 2, 3, 4. So x is -4. And remember, always label your answers. It's x equals or y equals. Finally, let's finish up with number 8. All right, real quick. All right, let's finish up here. So number 8. So we're going to find x when y is 3. So this time I'm not going to talk so much about left or right and stuff like that. So I'm going to go to find x when y is 3, so I'm going up 3. I got to go to the right, and that is about x is 1. This point right there is 1, 3. All right, find the x value when y is 9, so since it's y, I'm going to go up to 9. And I have to go to the right now, left or right, to get to my graph. I'm moving over 2 spots, so x is 2. Find the y value when x is 0, so again, anything with 0 is a little tricky. So again, when you start at the center, this is saying you don't go left or right. So instead, I just have to go up or down. I'll go up to get to the graph, and that is where y is 1. This point is x is 0, y is 1. And finally, find the y value when x is -1. So I'm going to go over 1, and now I'm going to go up or down. I'll go up, and I'm just going to estimate that to be about a half. All right, finally, let's talk a little bit on the next part. So we will be doing some writing down here. So what is the difference of being asked to evaluate and being asked to solve? So evaluating is when you are given the input. So again, traditionally that is x, and you use your order of operations to find the output. And just a reminder of the order of operations, I'm sure we all learned some saying, but mine was please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So P is your parentheses. E, you do and you look for the exponents next. M and D is you're going to multiply and divide. But you don't multiply and then divide. You just look at your problem like you're reading, left to right, and you do whichever one comes first. So sometimes you'll multiply first, sometimes you'll divide first. It just depends whichever happens as you go left to right. And then the same with your add and your subtract. You're going to work your way left to right. Okay? All right, so for instance, and you got this problem, real quick, r equals 10b squared, that means I'm reading this as r equals 10 times b squared, and they're telling me that b is 5. So I follow the order of operations. I'm looking right here. I don't see any parentheses, but I do see an exponent. And 5 squared just means 5 times 5, not 5 times 2. So I get 10 times 25, and when I multiply that, I get 250. So when you solve, this is what you're given the output. And then what you're going to do is you work backwards. Let's see, can you see this? I'm going to have to smush this in. You're going to work backwards in your order of operations to solve for x. So to find your input. So that means we're going to work with our addition subtraction first, then our multiplication division, then our exponents, and then we'll deal with stuff that might be in the parentheses, okay? This whole process, let me find a different color, is called isolate the variable. Okay? All right, one quick pause.